Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ari Franklin reporting in with M.A.S.S Weekend 2016, and I have the well-known and respected Dr. Layne Norton. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, man, anytime.
So what do you think of M.A.S.S Weekend so far?
It's cool. It's a lot of fun. Really well attended. I stopped in the show last night, packed. The expo was packed. The powerlifting was packed. The strongman was packed. Everything's been packed. And, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Really cool people. Like the seminars I did were great. And the camp today was great. We had really fun people who had a great time. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, there's a lot going on. It's packed, like you said. It's just so much energy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's a lot of enthusiasm, and that's always fun.
Okay. So of course you have a background in powerlifting and bodybuilding.
Right.
Which one do you like better?
I like being able to eat with powerlifting, you know.
Yeah, sure.
I actually have to stay pretty lean for my weight class in powerlifting, but I don't know. There's things I like about both. I will say, I really enjoy feeling like an athlete on competition day, which kind of maybe gives powerlifting a little bit of an edge.
Yeah.
Because with bodybuilding, I get all the nerves and I get all the nervousness and the butterflies, but I can't really do anything with it. I just pose harder, I guess.
Yeah.
But with powerlifting, there's something I can actually apply that towards. So I guess in a way I kind of like that a little bit better, but I like both for different reasons.
I can relate to that. I understand. Because I was dialing down to the 181 weight class. See, my height, that's really hard to do. So I came in at 177 and I had striated glutes. And I was sitting there trying to pull 600, on the deadlift. So I found it to be difficult because you're trying to make weight and still have the performance.
Yeah, for sure. Bodybuilding, you can feel terrible and you can still do well.
And look very good, yeah.
Yeah, in powerlifting, you need that performance. So
absolutely. So growing up in the 80s, of course, watching cartoons, He-Man, Master of the Universe, that was kind of inspirational, motivational. The question is, what motivates you as an athlete?
Actually, I did have a He-Man story.
And I remember seeing the pic, and that's why I brought it up. It was cool, man.
Motivation for me is it's just like my favorite part of life. I feel like if you can't get up and be fired up outside, what's the point of getting up in the morning? So, anything I do, I'm kind of like, how do I get better at it? Obviously, some of your hobbies you don't really want to get too serious about, but I've always been kind of trying to push myself a little bit. That's how I ended up doing higher level education, just because I wanted to see how far I could take it. That's why I ended up doing high level bodybuilding, because I wanted to see how far I could take it. Powerlifting was the same thing. It's just kind of one of those things where I guess just the constant pursuit of progression is what motivates me. And it's always been a lot of internal drive for me. People that know me, I always say, I'm motivated enough, so don't give me any extra. Don't give me bulletin board material, you know what I mean?
Right.
And but if you give me extra, I'll take it. So it's just kind of like a way of life for me. I've had people say sometimes can you motivate me somehow? And I don't really know how to do that because it's just kind of a thing for me.
Sure.
It's just kind of part of who I am, and I think that internal motivation is really important. Now, I think there's actually science behind this. Some people just don't have that, and so they need to find consistent external sources to do that, so they can be productive, right? But for me, that's never really been an issue. It's just I wake up in the morning let's go.
Yeah, let's go. It's go time, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so working out. When you first work out, you never touched weights before, and it's so exciting when you get those gains, right?
Newbie gains.
You start at the summer, by the end of the summer, you're putting on 20 pounds, and you swear it's muscle.
Yeah.
And, you're packing it on. But being, an athlete for so long, and, you're lucky to the gains, of course, they slow down.
Yeah, slow down.
So talking about muscle bellies, what can be reasonable, the amount of muscle a person can pack on a year?
So if you're talking about somebody who's natural and has never touched a weight before,
yes.
We actually have some calculations to have a good idea. And it looks like it would end up being around 25 pounds is your max, it seems to me.
The max.
The max of muscle, of lean body mass. As far as, but then you're not going to do that next year.
Okay, that's a good point. So you clarified that. So
your first year maybe 25.
First year, newbie
then 10,
year. Yeah.
Then 4, then 2, then 1.
Because right now, for me, it's if 3 to 5, if that. You compare it to 10 years ago.
Looking at after I turned pro, my first pro show was 4 years after that. I put on 3 pounds of stage weight, in 4 years time. And I was like, but what people don't realize, that completely changed the way I looked on stage.
Absolutely, right.
So those small amounts of muscle tissue that you acquire, go to the supermarket and look at 3 pounds of beef. That's a lot of tissue, you know what I mean? So I think that's one thing to keep in mind is even though it may not seem like much, a pound of lean muscle is very impressive.
Sure. And the same could go with if you dial down your diet, or let's say you get sick and you lose a substantial amount of weight, your body can kind of rebound to your weight that was in place
because a lot of what you're
right?
losing is water and glycogen and that sort of thing. And yes, you can lose some lean body mass, but muscle has what's called muscle memory, and that's we think from myonuclei. And so once you get those myonuclei that fuse, basically you have to think about your myonuclei number. That's kind of like how big your glass is, and then how much muscle you have is how full the glass is. Right? So if you lift for a while, you get more and more myonuclei that fuse to the muscle. And so when you stop lifting or you have something happen, they don't just go away. And so you'll get it back a lot faster than whatever it took time to whatever time it took to build it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's talk about hobbies a little bit. So of course, bodybuilding, powerlifting, working out is a lifestyle, and then hobbies too. But I follow you online, and I see that you're a fisherman.
Yeah.
And that's impressive. Okay, it's because let's say you have leg day, you're out there on the sea, and you're bringing in.
I don't
know how you do this.
I don't train legs on.
Okay. You see where I was going with that, right? Because I see you killing it on that. Yeah.
I tried that one time, and I realized pretty quick I was going to get hurt or just have terrible sessions. So yeah, sometimes I'll do a light upper body day when I get back or something like that. But yeah, heavy lifting on the main lifts, like after being out in the ocean all day, like just being out in the boat is tiring.
Right.
Because you're out in the sun and you're rocking.
The sun just takes all that energy.
You're
from you,
rocking
right?
back and forth, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I mean, I want to go take a nap.
Right. That's cool. I understand that you're welcoming your second child.
Second child will be a girl named Olivia. So yeah, that's going to be in September, and obviously I'm very excited.
Congratulations.
Very nervous about that.
Yeah.
We're excited.
That's cool. So of course, how do you balance that with family life and your own motivation, being an athlete and working out, having your own goals?
Yeah. So that's actually a tough one that I struggle with because.
I think everyone.
Left to my own devices, I'd be a workaholic. Really just because I love what I do. So when I go on work, that's not me like, oh, I go to work. That's like, oh, I'm just doing the thing I do, right? So yeah, learning for me is like, okay, I gotta shut the phone down, play with my son, talk to my wife, all those kinds of things that was hard for me when I was building the business, and I was just always constantly doing that. I think balance is, like over your course of your life, you want to be balanced, but I think balance is like a tightrope. So you're always trying to be balanced, right? But you go over here, and so then you have to go like that, right?
Yeah.
So you're always kind of wiggling back and forth, right? And so you're never like completely balanced, but you realize you're going too far this way, and so you correct this way, right? And you go too far over here, and you correct that way.
Right.
So I think that's like a good way to look at it. But over the course of the tightrope walk, you're trying to be balanced, and otherwise you fall off the cliff.
Right. So you're making the progress along the way.
Exactly.
Very well said. Talking about training, okay, so of course, being a power lifter, you have goals, you want to hit a certain amount of numbers, and your stats are epic. I mean, they're very impressive with your 700 plus deadlift and your squats, and always motivational. I see that on your Instagram. With that said, when do you know the limit? Because I'm like the type of guy that I have these expectations, there's so much ambition, I hit it, and then sometimes I'm barely getting it, and I'm just thinking I peaked. And in order for me to get through that, I have to either eat more, go up a weight class, or what? It's like a game.
You never know the limit. That's the hard part.
Right.
You never know. And I was telling the crew I was working out with today, I was doing the camp with, I said, what, if you'd gone back and if you're okay with 5 years ago and you said you're going to squat 668 pounds, I would have said there's no way. I can't do that, right? And I never had times where it was just like popping up 30 pounds at a time, right? But it was that slow, progressive grind. And I had sticking points. I had times where it didn't feel like it was moving and, wondered if I plateaued. But you keep grinding and grinding and grinding and accumulating that volume and accumulating that training status. And, bit by bit, it goes. You know what I mean? And, I think you never know the limit, and you also never know unless you try. So that's, I think a lot of people get demotivated not knowing what it might be. But would you really want to know? Because then, it might demotivate you even more, right? So I look at it as unlimited potential.
Very well said. Very well said. So, Dr. Norton, what is next for you?
Well, I'm just kind of really working on a lot of business ventures. I mean, I've done a lot of camps over the last few years. I really enjoy them. I really enjoy getting out and meeting people. I just did a seminar tour in Australia, and that was a blast. I want to do more things, reaching more people. So actually what I started on my website, biolayne.com, was now I do online webinars. So for $15 a month, people get a webinar each month from me, as well as extra articles and videos and tutorials and all kinds of stuff. So trying to educate more people. Okay. And then we also have Avatar Nutrition, which I developed, which is basically a flexible dieting website where you go in, you punch in your information, gives you and your goals, and gives you target macros to hit, but then those are adjusted based on how you progress as well.
Oh, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, and that's $10 a month, so really affordable. So for somebody who maybe can't afford a coach or isn't ready to commit to a coach, but they
can kind of test it out.
They don't want to do it themselves. Though,
Sure.
This is a great resource to get them started. And then my supplement line, Carbon. So that's been something I work really, really hard on. And we have 2 products right now, Recover and Prep.
Yep, I caught that.
Yeah, and we're releasing a protein powder coming out here soon. And then just still working with clients, still doing all the same things I've done for years. And I'm injured right now. I've got a hip injury and then 2 herniated discs in my neck. So focusing on.
I followed you on that. Yeah. I know that. I can only imagine how difficult that is.
Yeah, it's been difficult because I qualified for the World Championships, and there's no carryover. If you qualify 1 year, it resets. You got to win nationals the following year, so there's never any guarantees that you can go back. But I really did everything. I can honestly say I did everything I could to make it.
Absolutely.
I made rehab a full-time job, and it just didn't happen. So. Trying to, I don't have any timetable. I just want to get healthy and, get back on the platform and be able to hit some more PRs.
Absolutely. And going back to the muscle bellies, and you made a statement or you shared some information in one of your posts, your video series, mid-30s, prime. And then you only have a window of opportunity to really peak or get strong. Yeah. But it's finding in different sports, maybe like football or track, it might be a little bit younger where you peak, basketball. Yeah. But with powerlifting, it seems like there's a lot of old man strength, right?
They do really well until their 40s. Yeah, a lot of guys do really well in their 40s. Dave Ricks is one. He's done really, really well. So I'm, that's why I want to, heal up and give myself a good shot to give it another run and see how it goes.
Great.
And then, see when powerlifting's done, maybe back to bodybuilding.
Yeah. Well,
you can, a lot of guys do really great in bodybuilding into their 40s and 50s, because you've accumulated all that muscle mass, you're not losing it yet.
Sure.
And you have, you're just like a more dense looking physique, so we'll see.
Yeah, and Marshall Johnson's a great example. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Disgusting. In a good way, Marshall, in a good way.
Right. Well, it's always good, and I came across you with the IFPA, and so I just kind of looked into more and learned about your background, and it's just so motivational and inspiring. So thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for being a part of M.A.S.S Weekend. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. And you can follow Dr. Layne's information below in his website here. And thanks again, sir.
Thank you, buddy.
As always, train hard, love harder. Ari Franklin out. We'll see you next time.